After something like 3.5 weeks and somewhere between 3,000 and 3,500 miles going from New York down to Georgia and Oklahoma and back, so basically a half lap of America with my daughters, and for a leg of it, my wife. I know a lot of you have asked me in comments, what it's like to live with the car, and I think a lot of people seem to appreciate that I'm just sort of like an average guy who happens to own a car, and maybe I'm a geek and I'm very much into cars, but I'm not going and doing burnouts. I'm not tracking this car. So what's it like to live with day to day? And I always wondered when I was a kid, hey, what would it be like to have a really fast car and take it on a road trip? And I figure I can offer my point of view. One thing that I think is cool when you're driving this car on the highway is the gearing. So at half engine speed on the S85 engine in the M5, which redlines at 8,250 RPM, at 4,000 RPM, which is less than half engine speed,
This is awesome.
it's going to be going 100 miles an hour at 4,000 RPM. Now, at half engine speed in most cars is going to be about 3,000 RPM, which is going to be about 70 miles an hour. So the difference between the car being in its sweet spot and ready to accelerate is dramatic. And you feel that in every situation when you're driving, when there are a bunch of cars clumped up in the left lane and you need to scoot past them real quick, it's no trouble at all. In fact, it's a lot of fun, and then you just sort of look in your rear view mirror and they're way back behind you. You just squeeze the throttle a little bit, and at say 4,000 RPM, if you were in a position to, be going 100 miles an hour and beyond, just think about when you're getting into your sweet spot of acceleration at 4,000 and beyond, it's really 5,000, 5,500. That's when you start to realize that, the car becomes even more alive at, say, 120, 140, 150 miles an hour. And that's a lot of fun. There's a lot of satisfaction from being able to drive and be around other cars and know that you can skip around them with relative ease. So that's a lot of fun. We got to drive the Bronx River Parkway, or about 175 miles of the 500-mile stretch, which was fantastic. As far as I can tell, the only place that you can really drive an M5 in the U.S. You got these long and winding stretches of road where you're going a healthy clip, and so you can really tap into the engine's capabilities and the higher revs. So that's a lot of fun, and I actually shot some footage of that. My daughter Hannah helped me out on some of it. She's back there. Day to day, you don't think about it, but it's It's built for the most extreme circumstances, and it loves it when you do it. So that was fun, and I guess just generally speaking, you know, I bought the car as a sports car that I could take my family, and I call it the ultimate family hauler.
No, you call it the Big Beast.
I also call it the Beast. Big Beast, this is the Big Beast, the M3 is the Little Beast. Yes, you're right. I've got a little budding car enthusiast behind me. So I'm just thinking about unique aspects of cruising around the country in an M5. One of those things has to be all the interesting people that I meet along the way. So yesterday we were pulled over in rural Pennsylvania, and I met a couple guys in a, I don't know, early 70s Camaro that had been modified heavily, and guys that I never in a million years would have had any reason to speak with or anything in common. He pulls up in his Camaro, I pull up in my M5, and we kind of lock eyes, and we speak that language. We speak the same language. We had a really fun 5 to 10 minute long conversation. Never would have gotten to have that kind of conversation if there wasn't that introductory piece that sort of made it clear this guy likes cars, we can talk. So that's fun. I like being able to make friends all over the place, and it doesn't attract the wrong kind of attention. If it were a Ferrari, it would attract a lot of attention that I don't really want to have. Most people have no idea what this is. I went to see some college friends who are not car people, and I pull in the driveway and they don't notice that it's anything noteworthy at all other than it's a big black sedan. So that's nice, because the people who don't want to talk about cars don't have to talk about cars with me, but those who do, they see it, they're immediately interested, and that's kind of a neat thing. One other thing that I should mention is that when we were in Atlanta, we met Alex Gray, who is also an E60 M5 owner, also has a channel, and his channel is probably about stuff that you guys want to watch even more than just me going on about what it's like to live with the cars, because he does all the burnouts and he's done the modifications to his exhaust, which, by the way, to be very clear, I want to do those kinds of things. I want to let the beast out of its cage. I want to hear the sound of that V10. However, I have neighbors, I have a wife, and this is my ultimate family hauler. So that means my family rides in it. I don't need to be, you know, breaking the sound barrier or whatever every time we go somewhere with my family. It needs to be a little bit under the radar. And I like that, how it's this Jekyll and Hyde. Nobody really knows that it's a 205 mile an hour sedan. And I don't want them to know unless it's time for me to go 205 miles an hour. Another point that I would want to make, and I guess this is my final point because we're 5 minutes from the house. So driving that far, I think, in most cars would not be very comfortable. I drove my wife's minivan from New York, where we live, up to Boston and back a few years ago, and I remember how my back was just destroyed for days afterward, and it took me a while to recover. The seats in this car are so comfortable that I'm maybe wiped out because I haven't been active. I've been sitting in the car driving for a long time, but my back feels great. I feel completely rested. I feel completely, you know, in tune with the road, which is an important thing when you're going 80 miles an hour all day. So it's a very comfortable car to drive. I've heard people call this an open road car. The M3 is great for switchbacks. It's great for zipping around town, going on a curvy road as fast as possible. But where this shines is on the long winding roads, going substantial speeds in great comfort. the kind of thing where I can be driving down the road at 100 miles an hour if I'm in a city where I guess that's allowed and that's something that people do, and my wife and kids having no idea whatsoever that that's going on, because it's just so stable and comfortable at speed. So anyway, I hope you got something out of this. It's always fun putting these together. See you next time.